The average American household spends $150 every year on laundry detergent. Multiply that across a lifetime, and you are looking at thousands of dollars poured into plastic bottles filled with synthetic chemicals. But there is a tree whose berries contain the exact same cleaning compound found in commercial detergent. It grows wild across half of the United States. You have probably driven past one without knowing. And by the end of this video, you will know exactly how to grow a permanent laundry supply in your own backyard. One that produces for 90 years and never asks for a single dollar in return. The global laundry detergent market was valued at $84 billion in 2024. $84 billion spent annually on something a tree produces for free. The berry of this tree contains a chemical called saponin. Saponin is nature's soap. When you crush these berries in water, they foam. They lift dirt from fabric. They clean clothes without a single synthetic ingredient. Research published in the journal Industrial Crops and Products found that these berries contain between 10% and 15% saponins by weight. Some varieties contain as much as 37%. That concentration is more than sufficient to wash your laundry. The science is not new. The science is just ignored. One mature tree produces 30 to 35 kilograms of fruit per year. That is 66 to 77 pounds of natural detergent. One harvest handles a full year of laundry for a typical household. And here is what makes this truly remarkable. These trees produce fruit for over 90 years. Plant one tree this decade, and your grandchildren will inherit a permanent soap supply. The cleaning industry knew about this. They have always known. These berries were prized for centuries for washing laundry and hair. Then, synthetic detergents appeared in 1916. Within a generation, the Western world forgot that soap grows on trees. Walk into a village in the foothills of the Himalayas today. Watch the women doing laundry by the river. They are not using bottles from a store. They are using berries from a tree their great-grandmothers planted. This is not primitive. This is infrastructure that outlasts corporations. The cultivation and use of this plant dates back to the pre-Vedic era. That means people were washing clothes with these berries before written history began in South Asia. The earliest documented mentions appear in South Indian palm leaf manuscripts from around 500 CE. Physicians praised the berries for cleansing wounds and easing skin irritations. In the 7th century, a classical Ayurvedic text called the Ashtanga Hridaya documented these berries under the Sanskrit name Aretha. The text describes their use for cleaning, for medicine, for skin conditions. Indian physicians understood the chemistry 1,500 years before Western laboratories confirmed it. In China, ancient texts reference the same berries for cleaning and medicinal purposes. In Japan, traditional households kept dried berries in storage for washing delicate silks. Across Southeast Asia, from Vietnam to Indonesia, families have passed down the knowledge for generations. The berries travel under different names in different languages, but the chemistry remains identical. Here is what Western textbooks never taught you. This is not just an Asian plant. The same genus grows wild from Kansas to Mexico, from Florida to the Caribbean. Native Americans made soap from these berries long before European contact. The Comanche used them. The Apache used them. Spanish missionaries documented indigenous laundry practices in the 1600s and found the same berries at the center of the process. The Plains Apache people of Oklahoma prized this tree for more than just soap. The wood is extremely hard, heavy, elastic, and close-grained. They made tent poles from the branches. They made bows and arrows. They made tool handles. The Apache said that tent poles made from this wood would last indefinitely if properly seasoned. One tree served multiple survival functions simultaneously. Early American settlers learned from indigenous knowledge. They called the tree Western Soapberry. The berries contain approximately 37% saponin. Settlers crushed them to make cleaners and floor wax and varnish. The tree asked nothing in return. It grew in poor soil. It tolerated drought. It survived where other crops failed. Then the industrial age arrived. Factories started producing soap from animal fats and chemical lye. Later, they switched to petroleum derivatives. Marketing campaigns taught American consumers that clean meant store-bought. The wild soapberry trees kept growing along creek beds and fence lines, but nobody remembered what they were for. Now let me address the skeptics directly. Does this actually work? Can a berry really replace modern detergent? The honest answer is yes, with some qualifications. A research study on naturally soiled cotton fabrics investigated the washing performance of these berries at different temperatures. The results showed good washing performance, especially at 90 degrees Celsius. The study concluded that these berries represent a potentially safe and eco-friendly source of saponins for processing cotton fabrics. The chemistry is straightforward. Saponins have an amphiphilic structure. One part of the molecule loves water, and the other part loves oil. When you agitate saponins in water, they form micelles that trap dirt and grease. This is the exact mechanism that synthetic surfactants use. Nature invented it first. These berries work excellently for light to moderate everyday soils. They work beautifully on delicates. They are gentle enough for baby clothes. They clean wool and silk without damage. People with sensitive skin report fewer reactions than with commercial detergent. People with fragrance allergies find relief because the berries have almost no scent. Here is the honest limitation. These berries struggle with heavy grease stains. They struggle with ground-in protein stains like blood or chocolate. They lack the enzymatic activity and oxidizing bleach found in commercial products. For heavily soiled work clothes, you may need to pre-treat stubborn stains, but think about what you actually wash most often. Everyday shirts, bed sheets, towels, socks, children's play clothes. For 80% of your laundry, these berries perform as well as commercial detergent. For the remaining 20%, you can keep a small bottle of stain treatment and still eliminate 90% of your detergent purchases. The scientific literature reveals additional properties that manufacturers never mention on detergent bottles. These berries exhibit antibacterial activity in laboratory studies. The saponins kill pathogenic bacteria. They inhibit fungal growth. When you wash with these berries, you are not just removing dirt. You are introducing antimicrobial compounds to your fabrics. Indian jewelers have used these berries for centuries to clean tarnished gold and silver. The saponins lift oxidation from metal surfaces without scratching. A paste of crushed berries restores brightness to heirloom jewelry. The same chemistry that cleans your clothes polishes your grandmother's wedding ring. Now, I need to tell you something that changes everything for American growers. You do not need to import berries from India. You do not need to order from overseas suppliers. A native species grows across half of the continental United States. The tree is called Sapindus drummondii, common name Western Soapberry. It grows wild from Kansas to Florida, from Missouri to Mexico, and from the Texas Hill Country to the Arizona desert. The USDA rates it hardy in zones 6 through 9. That covers the majority of the American South, Southwest, and Mid-Atlantic regions. The Missouri Botanical Garden confirms this species tolerates drought, wind, heat, poor soil, air pollution, and other challenging conditions. It is not affected by disease or insects. It survives where pampered ornamental trees die. This is a survival crop disguised as a landscape tree. Compare the chemistry. The Asian species contains 6 to 15% saponins. The American species contains up to 37%. The native tree growing wild in Oklahoma may actually be more potent than the imported berries sold in health food stores. You have a soap factory growing in your region and nobody told you. The Lady Bird Johnson Wildflower Center in Austin, Texas notes that Western Soapberry is currently difficult to find in the nursery trade. Think about that, a native tree with documented utility, proven chemistry, and 90 years of production potential is difficult to find at nurseries. Meanwhile, those same nurseries stock endless varieties of purely ornamental trees that produce nothing useful. Here is your complete growing guide. This information comes from botanical research, traditional cultivation knowledge, and modern permaculture practice. Site selection matters less than you might expect. These trees succeed in full sun to partial shade. They prefer deep, fertile, moist soil, but tolerate a remarkable range of conditions. They grow in dry soil. They grow in rocky soil. They grow in nutrient-poor soil. They prefer limestone-rich soils, but do not require them. The Native Plant Society of Texas documents their extensive root systems that aid in erosion control along waterways. Start from seed or from nursery stock if you can find it. Seeds require preparation before planting. Soak them in warm water for 24 hours to soften the hard seed coat. This process is called scarification. Some growers nick the seed coat with a file before soaking. Others use brief acid treatment. Simple hydration usually works well enough. For the Western Soapberry, cold stratification improves germination rates. Place soaked seeds in damp sand or peat moss. Store them in your refrigerator for 60 to 90 days. This mimics the natural winter dormancy period. Plant in spring after the last frost date. Direct sowing works in mild climates. Start seeds indoors 6 to 8 weeks before transplanting in colder zones. Use deep containers because these trees develop tap roots quickly. Transplant seedlings carefully to avoid root disturbance. Young trees need moderate water during the first 1 to 2 years while establishing roots. Once mature, Western Soapberry is remarkably drought-tolerant. It survives on natural rainfall in most of its native range. Supplemental irrigation during extended dry spells helps, but is not strictly necessary. Apply a balanced, slow-release fertilizer in spring during the first 2 to 3 years. Mature trees need minimal fertilization. They evolved in nutrient-poor soils and extract what they need without assistance. Over-fertilizing can actually reduce fruit production by encouraging excessive leaf growth. Here is the waiting period you must accept. Trees grown from seed take approximately 9 years before they begin producing fruit. This is not a quick fix. This is an investment in permanent infrastructure. Some sources report waiting up to 10 years for the first harvest from seed-grown trees. Grafted trees from specialized nurseries may produce sooner, but availability is limited. The fastest path forward is to plant seeds now and consider this a gift to your future self. A tree you plant at age 40 produces fruit when you are 50, it continues producing until you are 130 years old, or more realistically, until your grandchildren are elderly. The trees grow 30 to 60 feet in height at maturity. Plan your site accordingly. They spread wide canopies that provide excellent shade. The Ladybird Johnson Wildflower Center documents their use as shade trees, specimen trees, and naturalized plantings along creek beds. Western Soapberry self-seeds readily in optimal conditions. It may form groves through root suckers over time. A single planting can become a soap-producing woodland across decades. You are not planting a tree, you are establishing an ecosystem. Harvest timing determines berry quality. Wait until the berries turn translucent, from yellow and orange to brown in autumn. This typically occurs from August through October depending on your latitude and local climate. The berries should feel slightly sticky when ripe. That stickiness indicates high saponin content. Remove the seeds from the fruit. The seeds are toxic and should not be consumed or left where children might find them. Dry the berry shells in full sun or in a dehydrator at low temperature. Properly dried shells store indefinitely in a cool, dry location. A single harvest provides your laundry supply for the entire year. Using the berries is simple. Place 5 to 7 dried berry shells in a small muslin bag. Drop the bag directly into your washing machine with your clothes and run a normal wash cycle. The agitation releases saponins into the water. Your clothes come out clean. One set of 5 to 7 berries typically lasts for 5 wash cycles. When the berries become thin, gray, and mushy, discard them in your compost and refill the bag. Some users report extending berry life by tearing them into smaller pieces after the first few washes. For better extraction and longer berry life, try the tea method. Boil water and pour it over a handful of berries in a jar. Let them steep overnight. Strain the liquid and use approximately 1/4 cup per load of laundry. The concentrated tea stores in your refrigerator for up to 2 weeks. This method lets you control the dosage precisely and makes your harvest last significantly longer. Now consider the economics across a lifetime. The average household spends $150 to $200 annually on laundry detergent. Across a 60-year adult lifespan, that totals $9,000 to $12,000 for a single product. That cleans a single category of items. One soapberry tree costs nothing if grown from seed, or perhaps $20 to $50 from a specialty nursery. That single tree produces fruit for 90 years. Each year, it yields 30 to 35 kilograms of berries. Each kilogram handles dozens of wash loads. The lifetime value of one tree exceeds the lifetime cost of commercial detergent by a factor of 50 or more. The global laundry detergent market generates $84 billion annually. It grows at 4.6% per year. Shareholders expect returns. Marketing budgets require funding. Supply chains demand feeding. This entire infrastructure depends on consumers who do not know that soap grows on trees. You cannot patent a tree. You cannot trademark a species. You cannot create intellectual property from a seed that self-sows. A corporation cannot extract recurring revenue from a plant that produces for 90 years from a single planting. The economic incentives of modern capitalism align perfectly against your ever learning this information. But the trees do not care about market dynamics. They do not read quarterly earnings reports. They do not attend shareholder meetings. They simply grow. They flower in late spring. They set fruit in summer. They drop berries in autumn. They wait through winter, and they repeat the cycle for nearly a century. The Native Plant Society of Texas documents Western Soapberry's role in local ecosystems. Its extensive root system prevents erosion. Its berries feed wildlife. Its flowers support pollinators. When you plant a soapberry tree, you are not just growing a laundry supply. You are installing ecological infrastructure that serves dozens of species. Your great-grandparents understood this relationship with productive trees. They planted orchards knowing they might not live to see full maturity. They thought in generations, not fiscal quarters. Somewhere along the way, we lost that perspective. We started buying instead of growing. We started depending instead of producing. The soap industry generated $84 billion last year, selling bottles of petroleum derivatives and synthetic fragrances. They needed you to forget that the answer grows wild from Kansas to Mexico. They needed you to believe that clean clothes require a factory. But you know now. You know the tree exists. You know where to get the seeds. You know your grandchildren could inherit a permanent soap supply from a decision you make this week. The only question left is whether you plant it.